To practice a tradition, you must first understand its gods not as abstractions, but as living powers. In this series, we explore Celtic religion and its deities in a clear and accessible way for Celtic people interested in living and practicing their indigenous tradition. This series will provide a practical foundation for understanding Celtic theology. Rather than engaging in abstract or purely esoteric debate, we present the material as our school of thought understands it, so that belief, worship and practice are made tangible and achievable. Across the Celtic pantheons, in their many regional forms, clear and consistent patterns emerge when we compare the surviving narrative sources alongside related Indo-European traditions. Through this comparative approach, deities can be identified more clearly, even where the gods have been humerized, fragmented or encoded in symbolic and esoteric forms, by observing the clear remaining mythic framework. To make this framework clearer, we can look to the only continuously surviving Indo-European religion, Hinduism. Within it, deities possess an ultimate cosmic form, through which their full totality may be worshipped, while also manifesting through various incarnations or avatars that embody specific emanations and functions. Shiva, Rudra, and Kala Bhairava, for example, are not separate gods, but distinct expressions of a single divine identity, each emphasizing different aspects of the same underlying power. When this model is applied to Celtic religion, Gaelic and Brittonic traditions need not be seen as fragmented or contradictory, but rather as regional expressions and threads or retellings of a single once coherent canon.
Within this framework, Fionn emerges as a liminal god of wisdom and sovereignty. He is remembered as the leader of the Fianna, the Gaelic manor boons, a sacred warrior fellowship, and is closely associated with the Wild Hunt, the eternal ride between worlds. Fionn bears the venom spear. When Eileen the Burner rises each year to set fire to the sacred hill of Tara, Fionn confronts him. As the monster flees to his mound, Fionn hurls the spear, striking Eileen down in flight. With this act, the burning of Tara is ended. The sovereignty of the land is restored, and the year is renewed. In this victory, Fionn is recognized as the true leader of the Fianna and as a preserver of cosmic order. This battle takes place at Samhain, the turning of the year. By slaying Eileen, Fionn restores balance between worlds, an act remembered in the Gaelic tradition as Samhain, and its equivalent in the Brythonic world as Noscalan Gaeaf. Gwyn ap Nudd plays a central role in the early Arthurian tale, Culhwch and Olwen. In this account, he abducts his sister, Craedolad, from her betrothed, Gwythyr ap Greidawl, igniting a brutal feud. Gwyn defeats Gwythyr in battle, capturing his nobles, and subjects Culhwch, the son of Nuthan, to a horrific ordeal that drives him into madness, earning him the name Culhwch Wilt, the Wild One. Through this episode, Gwyn is revealed as a ruthless enforcer of otherworldly law, whose wrath brings exile, transformation, and madness. Gwyn appears as a formidable, often fearsome warrior. He is described as a bull of battle, blackened of face and wreathed in a deathly aura, leading pale hounds through the night. In all forms, he embodies martial power as ruler of the otherworldly realm of Anu, bound to wild places, mist, and the hunt. Gwyn also appears in the medieval poem, the dialogue of Gwyn ap Nudd and Gwyd no Garanthir, preserved in the Carmarthen. There he is encountered returning from battle and is praised as the hope of armies and the hero of hosts. When asked which land he comes from, Gwyn gives a defining answer: "I come from battle and conflict." In this declaration, Gwyn is shown not as a king of any one place, but as a god defined by war, strife, and otherworldly sovereignty itself. Wisdom and initiation. Fionn's wisdom is not inherited, but earned through ordeal and initiation. He gains insight through ritual fasting beneath a tree beside the lake of Cailleach, whose waters are said to turn all things white. This whitening signifies otherworldly transformation, illumination, deathlessness, and a state beyond ordinary human existence. Appropriately, the names Fionn and Gwyn both mean white or pale, marking a being who has crossed the threshold of the human condition and returned bearing sacred knowledge. Through this pattern of sacrifice, solitude, and vision, Fionn-Gwyn embodies what may be understood as the Celtic expression of the Rudra, Shiva, Odin archetype. A wandering sovereign, ascetic initiator, and god of inspired wisdom whose authority is forged through hardship and confrontation with the otherworld. Incarnations and emanations. While this deity appears in many forms across the traditions, the following manifestations are sufficient for a foundational understanding, and are the ones we will focus on here. Fionn, who together with his two brothers, divides the triple sky from the triple earth by overthrowing the sky powers and taking the triple earth deities, forming part of the underlying Celtic creation myth as we see it. In the heroic cycle, this divinity appears as Fionn, paired with Gall, the one-eyed. Together, they form two complementary halves of the Gaelic Mannerbund god. Sovereignty and inspired insight balanced against ferocity, ordeal, and liminality. Fionn attains transcendent knowledge through the consumption of the one-eyed salmon of wisdom, Gol Éasruit, which may be understood esoterically as communion with an avatar of his own underlying divine source, and whose eye is said to have been plucked out by a hawk, born on the same day, and foretold to die on the same day as the salmon itself. Esoterically, most likely being a further incarnation of Fionn, in itself showing us a common mythic thread, with the tale wherein Odin plucks out his own eye in the Norse tradition. In Brythonic tradition, the same deity appears as Gwyn ap Nudd, a more openly deified form whose name likewise means pale or white. Like Fionn, Gwyn is associated with the wild hunt and with two hounds, described as white with red ears, and with rulership over the otherworld. A textually later recorded and more wrathful emanation of this deity appears as Evnishen, who embodies the destructive and chaotic aspect of Gwyn, often behaving in a wrathful and antagonistic manner, though ultimately performing an act of self-sacrifice to destroy a cauldron which allowed the dead to be revived, further showing this deity as upholding cosmic order and the boundary between worlds in yet another of his many forms. The great number of faces and names our school of thought attributes to a single deity may at first seem far-fetched. However, when we look into other Indo-European theologies, we easily observe that this is a common occurrence across them, especially relating to the Odin equivalent deities who go by many names. This particularly seems to be a core part of this divinity's mythos, though not solely confined in him, as we discuss with future videos within this series. Worship. How then might Fionn-Gwyn be worshipped in practice today? To approach this question responsibly, we must look to the archaeological record and to comparative Indo-European traditions, Gaelic, Brythonic, and related cultures, where patterns of worship and sacrifice follow clear and consistent forms. In private or household worship, Indo-European religions tend to share a common structure. Small idols or symbolic representations of the deity are placed within a home shrine, often accompanied by an oil lamp and an offering bowl for libations. This pattern is well attested in Hindu puja, as well as in Greek and Roman domestic practice. Everywhere there was paganism, there was this domestic practice, with idols on an altar receiving offerings and prayers daily. And there is no coherent reason to assume Brythonic or Gaelic religion differed fundamentally in this respect. Votive offerings form another widely attested mode of devotion. Across the Celtic world, offerings of food, jewellery, tools, and even weapons were ritually dedicated and deposited. The most common methods include placement in bodies of water, the hanging of offerings from a sacred tree or post, or burial within a pit after the item had been ritually killed, rendering it fit for the other world. This method may be especially relevant in offerings to Fionn-Gwyn, given his connection to Annwn. Acts of asceticism and ordeal, mirroring those undertaken by Fionn-Gwyn himself, may be understood as devotional acts. Fasting, vigils, solitude, or exposure undertaken in pursuit of insight, transformation, or favour. Carrying an idol on a long procession or pilgrimage to an important or prominent location, such as the one performed by us up Glastonbury Tor, with our large idol on its sedan, can also be seen as a form of ascetic practice. Finally, there is sacrifice, the most formal and auspicious mode of worship. In Indo-European traditions, this is typically overseen by a ritual specialist, a priest, a druid, who carefully officiates the offering of food, drink, or crafted goods to the deity. Most commonly, offerings are consumed by sacred fire, lit within a consecrated space, known in the Celtic world as Nudd or Neved, where the boundary between worlds is opened and communion is made possible.
I have been where the soldiers of Britain were slain. From the east to the north, I am the escort of the grave. I have been where the soldiers of Britain were slain. From the east to the south, I am alive, they in death.